And one of the things I know that, we'd gone over when we were talking about this is there was a death that kind of stuck with you or stood out maybe a little bit more than the rest of them. And I want to talk about that and then kind of the upward swing of how do we get through these tough times and what you do with SOC-F. And the baseline for that is you had told me the story of a guy, we're just going to use his first name, Ryan, who his death impacted you differently than other deaths had. And I cannot wait for you to share this with the audience and the upward swing. Can you tell us the story and why this death, this memory kind of has been with you maybe more than some others have?
Yeah. So kind of give everybody a little bit of a backdrop. I was a team leader and actually getting ready to hand my team over and move into another position. And so my wife was pregnant. We were expecting our daughter to be born in September of, what year was that? 2012. Yeah, 2012. So in addition of another child, that rotation that I came home early from for the birth of my daughter, that was my last combat deployment with the team. I was going to move up and take more of an administrative role. So there was a lot going on there. But I'd already planned on leaving and handing my team off, and that was mid-tour. And so at the time we had 4 guys on our team. I would make the 4th guy. And so when I left, it dropped the team down to 3. And so they needed to have an additional person backfill. So Ryan was on another team and they bumped him over. So it wasn't a 1-for-1 exchange, but he definitely was plussing the team up so they could do their job. And so I'd come home. I'd dealt with death before. When you're deployed and one of your teammates dies, you have a little memorial service, and then you just have to get back up and keep going. And then you do the memorial for them when you get back. This time was different because I was back home. And so my pager went off. I went into work that evening. Another one of my buddies who was back on that deployment met me at the door and said Ryan had gotten killed, and a couple of the other guys had gotten seriously injured. And so it was the first time I was back in the rear and kind of seeing that whole process kind of unfold, notification and so on and so forth. And I think that weighed heavy on me for sure, because I knew I'd left, even though it was planned. The team was down a guy. And so here I'm back home, and Ryan backfilled to make the team 4. And just like his death, felt a lot of guilt from that for sure. Thinking I should be over there. But at the same time, there was a pull like, hey, your daughter's about to be born, and you need to stick around for that. So that was just, for me personally, it was kind of a terrible thing to go through, knowing I should probably see if I can get back over to Afghanistan and help those guys out. But at the same time, having an obligation to my family back home. So they were able to sort out the manning and everything for that in country. And I ended up not having to go back over. But just, going through that process, dealing with Ryan's family and kind of all that. Yeah, it really sucked. And then I think it was at that point, that I decided, like, you know what, maybe I need to start thinking about hanging up, my guns and move on to other things. And that really was his death and where I was at was really a decision point for me. Now having a second child and kind of all the things, was really taking a hard look at whether I wanted to continue on or whether I wanted to get out. And, so I ended up making the decision, a year or so later to go ahead and retire.
And I think what is important for the audience to understand, because I never served in the military, and I'm sure many people watching this are hearing that story and they're thinking, it's not your fault. You didn't play any role in him getting killed, but here it is, it weighs on you. And just as an observer who hears that story, and I can tell you're emotionally moved by it weighs on you because, you want to be there, you want to be with your guys, and you came home, he took your spot, got killed. and other people got seriously wounded. And for number one, for you to be willing to talk about that takes a lot of courage, and I think that's hopefully helps other people. When it comes to how you deal with that, when it comes to, hey, I'm maybe not in a good place mentally, maybe I'm not doing as well as I can, I'm getting angry, I'm getting irritable,